Do you want your feedback loop to be faster? Yeah, so do I. Recently I ran into some problems when I was trying to prototype some stuff with SwiftUI, and I wanted to also integrate with something like HealthKit. And HealthKit requires user permissions to be given to your app. And eventually I ran into this problem where I was just only testing on a device or directly in the simulator rather than using the really cool Xcode Previews. So today I'm going to show you a strategy currently that I use so that we can separate previews from the actual logic of the HealthKit queries that you might make, such as authorizing for permissions to read from HealthKit data. My name is Ricky and welcome to the Dev Method. So I have a plain package here set up. I'm going to just make something really simple. All right, so if you see this, so far we don't have anything other than just our view. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put in the platforms here. So we'll do iOS, we'll just do the latest version just to give you guys an idea. And I'll pick my simulator, which will just be for building. So I'll just pick iPhone 16e, see how that goes. All right, it builds, it works. So let's open up the previews. And we actually don't have any previews, so let's make one, right? They say do this, do my view, and I should have a preview. All right, hello world, awesome, works great. So now let's create a view model, which is where we're gonna put the logic for a lot of this stuff that we're gonna do for querying into the HealthKit information. So the way I do that, I'll just make a state. I'll call it VM. I'll just call it view model. You call your view models whatever you'd like. Now I'm going to put it down here. It's going to be the main actor. It's going to be observable because we want some updates after we set properties to be re-rendering views. And then we're going to do a final class, view model. Great. So now here we go. So when the view opens up, we're going to use a task. We're going to call this method from it. So we're just say load. It'll be async, like so. So that means when we open this up, let's get a VStack in there. All right, so now we have hello world and we have this thing called health data. So we'll add to this VStack a task. I'm going to make it a priority of background, and then I'll put in a little closure here, so we'll just await. We will await the VM and we'll just load, like so. So this all works fine. This is just the bare bones of what we want set up. All right, so let me write the code real quick for the authorization. All right, so here we have our health store on line 47. Then we do the request to get the authorization, and then we get the status. So notice this just is going to immediately return, well, almost immediately return. And then we get the status, and we're always gonna get a not determined, which if you have coded in your app to show something different based on that, that's not really gonna be helpful. So what's the step that we could remove this framework and having to deal with like real data and then also work on our UI at the same time? So right now I can't work on any of these statuses other than just not determined. So what we're gonna do is actually separate all of this. So the way we're gonna do that, we're gonna use an environment variable. So let's code up something that's gonna help us with this environment, and that's gonna be a protocol. So and this is also a problem that comes up every once in a while, is that the preview agent is going to crash. And if you look here, it has something to do with validating the health data for HealthKit. So this is really also going to be an issue and get in the way as you're trying to develop your feature. So let's separate the two here, the HealthKit from the view code. And we're going to do that by creating our own protocol. So it's going to be a protocol, and we'll call it health auth proto. Okay. Anytime I say proto, it means that it's a protocol. I'm just saving myself a couple of clicks here. And we're going to use actors for this because of our modern concurrency, our async await that we want to use. So we're going to say that anything that implements this is going to be an actor. And what's it going to do? It's going to, let's say, request auth, like so. And since it could be throwing, we'll do async throws. And we're going to go ahead and return a HK authorization status from this. So with this alone, we're getting close. We're not fully there. So how do we put this as a environment object, right? So we got to make some sort of implementation of the health auth proto. So let's do the real one. So we'll call this actor health auth, and it will implement health auth proto. Okay, we'll take this, put this here, and we already have this implementation. It's actually down below. It's all this stuff right here. So we're just gonna take this, put it in here. Let's not worry about the try catch or the do catch. And instead of setting status, we're going to just return. So this is the real implementation. Whoop, request, or just status, my bad. Just a status. Okay, so we have now at least one implementation of this. So how do we get that inside of the environment here? So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna write it up here so you can see it a little bit higher, but we'll do an extension on environment values. Okay, we're gonna use a handy dandy new entry, okay, var, and we'll just call this health auth for now. And then we're gonna say what type it is. So here's where we go with an any. It's like putting it in a box where it's almost like a type erasure. We're basically saying it's gonna be something that implements health auth proto. Health auth proto. Now we do need a default value here. So what is the default value? I say go with the real implementation. There we go, health auth. Now, if we wanted to do this here, we need to do like a key value. So we do health auth, and then we do health auth, like so. So this works, but it defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do, right? Because what we want is we want to put this in the environment. That's great, but we want to put in a mock. So this is where I get a little bit more fancy. So typically what I do, I'm working in a package here. I'm not in an actual project. So I want to make sure that everything builds okay, but we're going to say a compiler directive. We're going to say if it's debug, and then we're going to end the debug. So if it is debug, we're actually going to have a different actor here called the health auth mock. And it's still going to implement the same health auth proto. Okay, so let's get this in here. But now we use this area to kind of just like say whatever it is we want to be returned. So in this case, we'll just say, I don't know, return dot, what's one of the options? Sharing authorized. Sharing authorized. Okay, like so. So we have the mock here, and then we want to use that in here, right? Because watch this. If I didn't have this here, let me just comment this out for a second. We basically have everything ready to go with the different actors that we need implemented. Now we have to integrate them into the view. So with that, let's just look at the view again. See, it still says not determined, but I said sharing off. So now we need to get this value in through the environment. We're going to inject it. okay? And instead of health auth, it's going to be health auth mocked, all right? Now, it's still not updating. Why is that? Well, we need to tell our view that we're reading this from the environment as well. So what do we do here? We do environment, and then we say health auth here. All right, so that's going to have our default value for the health auth, okay? Great. But now when we load, we need to load what is coming in from the environment. If we take a look at load again, we'll see it's got that same old code from before. See all this stuff here? We don't want that. So what we really want is we say our health auth is going to be any health auth proto, right? Because then we know what to call on it. See, it's this health auth proto. It's the same idea as the any, I'm scrolling up here. This is an important line here. The any health auth proto. See that there? Okay, let's go to the bottom. Now it says, we can't call this. Oh, that's totally fine. So what we do is we still want our status to be set. And we do that by saying health auth dot, and then we call our request auth, okay? And of course, we have to try await it. And there we go. Let me take that print out there. But that should be all that we have ready to go. Now, let's just check if there's anything else I missed. Just scrolling up here. Yes, all right. So this is that implementation, whether it's the mock or the real thing. And we're gonna pass it in to this load, health auth, like so. This should be all we need. And then there we go. On the right-hand side, it just changed. In fact, let me make this even bigger for you. Large title. There it is, authorized. Nice. So if we want to play around with what our view reacts to for, saying denied. So we say sharing denied. Okay, let's see that pop up over here. Yep. Oh, it says not determined. And that's because denied. There we go. There it is, sharing denied. So the initial value is actually not determined. So actually, maybe what I should do, because we have no real initial state, and I don't want not determined flashing and then showing two different UIs. I'll just say it's got to be conditional. So it'll be unknown to start. Maybe I could, say what the user last authorized for and show that, but there it is. Sharing is denied. I could do something here as well. I could do not determined if I want to check out what that value is going to show in the UI. So notice every time it loads, it does the little spinny up here, right? Then it's showing us the new UI. And there we go. We did it. So again, what this is doing, just review real quick. We're setting up this environment value, right? So the environment value helps us do what? It helps us inject any implementation we want for this particular object. So we have environment that we pass into our view model that knows how to call its methods on it to do stuff. So in this case, we're loading the data for the view. So what does that load do? It calls the only thing it knows how to call, which is the request auth. And that's something we wrote. And where is that defined? That is defined in health auth proto. So that's that start of that pattern is just what can it call. And then we say, okay, it's got to be any implementation. See that there, the any implementation of health auth proto. And we have two. We have the real one, which I just called health auth, okay? And I assign that to be the default value. So if no environment is ever set on this view in the app that ends up using it, that's okay. They're getting the default behavior of what it is we want. However, if they need to override it, we've provided that here. And yeah, they could choose to use this or not. I mean, but we're at least giving the user of this library some sort of like escape hatch so that we don't get like the crashing in the previews and stuff, and we can test out different values. So this is the fake mocked version that we pass in through the environment, and we should be all good to go with the preview. So if you guys like this little video, let me know in the comments below and give me a thumbs up, and subscribe if you want to see more stuff just like this. Otherwise, have a good one.